Early on I would do prayer sessions with people and they have all these fear issues or like this tightening, this choking. Now, what's that also want to do? Keep your voice from speaking out. That's one of the number one reasons that Paul gave that profound statement that he gave in 2 Timothy 1:7. I'll reference this a lot. For God has not given us the spirit of fear. Now, go to the verse before it. Verse 6, 2 Timothy here. He says, therefore I remind you, stir up the gift that is in you through the laying out of my hands. So there's an understanding of there's gifts God's given you within you. He's deposited in your life. No, he hasn't. He hasn't given it to me. Okay, that's a whole nother subject. He has. What wants to block the work of the gifting in your life? Anyone? Fear in all its forms. Whether it's anxiety, you have an anxiety kind of pattern. I would have anxiety from the moment you told me, Mark, you're going to speak 3 weeks from now. I would have anxiety from that moment for 3 weeks nonstop up until that speaking moment. Then I'd have a little bit of relief after it was done, and then I'd have anxiety thinking about the next one. And then when you're a pastor and it's happening all the time, you're in chronic, right? What's happening? The fear is seeking to keep the gift from operating. Now, it may not be just speaking. It doesn't mean you have to be on a platform. You have to have a YouTube channel or you have to, do live videos. Sometimes it means just speaking encouragement. Sometimes it means just speaking words of exhortation and help to someone or comfort, right? There's gifts in your life. And so Paul says here, I want to remind you, the gift is in you. And we prayed this and these gifts are ignited in you. And he says, stir them up for... There's that connector word. For God's not giving you the spirit of fear. Fear is after your potential. Fear is after your potential. Anxiety is not your friend. It wants to keep growing. It wants to steal the capacity of your life. And I appreciate Timothy because Timothy was a young guy who struggled with anxiety. Does the Bible talk about anxiety? Yeah. Because Paul said, tell him, hey, man, stir up the gift. He tells him, don't, all this stuff that Paul tell him, read through the writings of Timothy, where Paul has to say, hey, man, don't let people look down on you because you're young. That's a little insight, okay? So he's young. He's dealing with these older people. They come in. They intimidate him. Well, I've been in the faith longer than you. I'm older than you. I'm elder so-and-so, and I've been around for a long time. Who you think you are, little kid, telling me what to do? You think you got an apostolic calling, blah, 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 whatever, right? Then in other sections, Paul's like, don't get lost in these arguments with people who are coming against you. More insight. Timothy's got all these people coming against him, man. I just appreciate it. And Paul's like, God's not giving you a spirit of fear. And then Paul's also, hey, by the way, have a little wine for your stomach. He got a little acid reflux going on there, doesn't he? Right? The anxiety is affecting him here, and gut issues are a major part of anxiety. I'll get into that a little bit because chronic fear, stress, and anxiety will cause gut issues. And if we don't take care of our gut, there's whole science in that can back that up. We don't take care of our gut. It can also produce anxiety. So it's like they're both kind of working in conjunction with each other, right? So we see this just there alone. I've just given you a mental health lesson, not from the DSM-4, from 2 Timothy. Because Timothy didn't have a father role in his life. Paul, look at right here. Look at right here in this verse. I'm not making this stuff up. Paul says, when I greatly desiring to be filled with mindful of your tears, I may be filled with joy. When I call to remembrance the genuine faith that is in you, which first dwelt in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice. Now that's amazing. That's beautiful. Great mom, great, amazing grandmother, right? But if you just understand simple biblical pattern, people's lives are never talked about through the female. If you notice from the beginning of Scripture all the way to the end, it's described through the seed. There's no mention of Timothy's father. So part of Timothy's battle is the fatherlessness to some degree. Whether his father died, his father wasn't around or what happened. We don't know. Paul presents himself as a spiritual father. So we see why that's so important. That healthy mentoring, fathering, is a big part of your anxiety overcoming. So I don't even need a psychology manual. I don't even need a medical manual. I'll just take 2 Timothy and teach you about the life of anxiety because Timothy had it, but Timothy sought to overcome, and Paul was the key voice in his life. And sometimes all you need is just a nurturing voice in your life to remind you you're not crazy, you're not out of your mind, you have what it takes, and we're going to do this, and you're going to learn and overcome. That's been a game changer in my life, and I want to be that voice in your life. Whether we meet someday or not, whether I coach you someday or not, doesn't matter. This right here could be just what you need to be an encouragement to you.